All right, guys, welcome to Psychology of Sale, and we're going to get into reason number 2 that people tend to fail at sales. They're not relatable. The solution to that is learning how to appropriately connect with people while you're trying to get them to do something that they need to do for themselves. How do you become relatable? First of all, ask yourself this. When you're in your normal course of conversation with people, how much of it is about them and how much of it is about you? When you're with clients, now if you want to live your life where all you talk about is yourself, that's your business. But when you get into sales and you're going to go sit across the table from somebody, you're going to call them up, you're on a Zoom, and you're trying to connect with them, it has to be about them. People make big mistakes where they think they're going to enamor them. You know, you walk into somebody's home and the guy's like, man, a nice picture. And then he says something. I've heard people go like, yeah, and I have this, like that one-upper, right? Or I did this, or I did that. Let people feel good about themselves, especially when it's their home. Even if you're on Zoom, on the phone, make them feel good, right? How do I relate to them? The problem with most of y'all is you want people to give you confidential information in sales. Date of birth, social security number, banking information, information about home address, whatever you want, yet they know nothing about you. I became relatable, and I did so well in sales, and just about everybody said yes when I went to sell them something, because I worked with people that already had like raised their hand and wanted the product on some level, and I shared stuff with them, good and bad. I shared that I've been sober X amount of years. Why? It's relatable. Why is it relatable? Well, most everybody either drinks, uses drugs, has tried it, has had a problem with it, doesn't have a problem with it, knows somebody had a problem with it, knows somebody died of it. Like, it's relatable. But probably more importantly, it's very vulnerable. I'll tell you something you wouldn't necessarily know about me. I'll tell you I was raised by a single mom. I tell you how hard she worked. I tell you that we didn't have any money. Like, I walk you through those things so you get to know me. I share the good, the bad, the ugly. I am straight up about that stuff. And it was relatable. I did the same thing when I was a social worker. I took that into my sales. That's why I was really good at what I did. When people, they were like, why did they let you in the house? I can relate to them. I was up front. When I got into social work, I didn't go out there and preach at people. I was like, hey, man, I'm 21 years old. I ain't got no kids. I'm not married. And I'm probably drunk from the night before. But I'm the only one with a social work degree, and I'm the only one that's been hired here, and my job is to protect your kids. So you want to protect your kids, we're on the same side. You don't want to protect them, we're going to be opposing sides. I'm a much better friend than I am enemy. And I smile. Like, that's not complicated. It's relatable, right? So when you're in sales, you have to find a way. What can you share with people that will allow them to connect with you? You know, I always tried to picture this like bowl in the middle of the table, right? Where every time I say something and share something you wouldn't necessarily know about me, I'm making a deposit in that bowl because I'm going to ask for deposits back from you. I'm making them, I'm getting them, I'm making them, I'm getting them, right? So for me, every time I did that, it allowed me to build my relationship, build my trust with you. And I think what happens to most people is they lose sight of that. If I don't know you, I don't trust you. People say, you trust him. I don't know him. I don't go like, yeah, I don't know him. Do you distrust him? I don't know him. But I don't trust him because I don't know him. Now, in a sales window, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, hour, by the way, it shouldn't take hours unless you're like selling them a trip to the moon, Mercury, and Mars, and Pluto, and it's that complicated. Shit, it should be 35, 40, 45 minutes. Knock it off. It's not, whatever you're doing is not that complicated. It is not. And if it is, go sell something else. It's too complicated. But in that window, you have a short period of time to share things with you so they get to know you. People become relatable when we know them. They become relatable when we know they're not perfect and they share things with us. They become relatable when they talk about how they've fallen on their face before. Like, that's when they become relatable. And then when we can relate to them, we open up. Man, I like that guy. I'm going to share this about me. Man, I really like the guy. I'm going to share this. Like, I'm going to make these deposits so I can put myself in a better position. You have to understand, am I relating to people? If you tend to talk about yourself a lot, stop. People don't like to hear it anyway. They like humility, especially with salespeople. Because what's the number one fear of every client when you're trying to sell them something? I don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be misled. It's not the price. Well, they don't want to pay too much. No, they're buying something. They need it. They don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be misled. And who do they think is lying to them, misleading them? Somebody they can't relate to, somebody they can't trust, somebody they don't know anything about. So you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, what does that look like for you? How are you on the relatability scale? Because when I was done with my sale, one of the things I'd always ask people, if it was a no sale, which honestly was 10% of the time, being honest with you. If you want to tell me that I didn't start closing 10%, I understood the product, understood me, watched really good people, mimicked them, duplicated, imitated, I was good. But if it was a no sale at the end, and I can teach you to be as good. It's easy. For those people that tell you that they're great at sales, I can teach you to be better than them. Any one of them. Anybody at your company that is really good, talk to me, contact me, I'll mentor you. I will get you as good, if not better than them, because there's no talent, okay? But if it was a no sale, I would say, okay, I'm required to document why you didn't purchase this today from me. And they only give us one of two options to pick from. So you have to pick one of these reasons you're not buying it. I just got to report back to my office. And they, okay, got it. Sounds good. Yep. Okay, and there's only two reasons people don't buy the product. They already said they wanted it. So the first one either is I made it unaffordable. Whatever I showed you for options and benefits, it just didn't fit in your budget, and I didn't do a good enough job talking about it. You're just saying no, or you don't like me or don't trust me or both. Which one is it? Then I shut up. You can't do that when you have a large ego and low self-image because you're terrified of what people will say. Now, did most of them say it was price? Yes. But I didn't give them three, it's two. And sometimes I said, well, it's not one of those two. No, ma'am, sir, it is. They require us. I just need you to, there's no other. So which one of those is it? And it helped me convert probably another 5% of those. Probably half of those. So another 5%. So I was closing 95%. But there was 5% that no matter what, that was it. Okay, cool. I still blame me. There's something about me that I did something, right? And that's the magic in sales too. You become relatable when you're accountable. Why didn't I close? It's my fault. Why didn't they purchase? My fault. Why didn't they get? My fault. It's when we start saying the leads, they aren't, the clients, they aren't. Dude, that's when you get in trouble. That's when it gets really, really bad. So I'm telling you that if you want to change your relatability, you have to learn to listen. Whoever asks the most questions wins. So you ask a lot of questions of people. Get them understand you are interested in them. That is important. I love learning names of everybody, and it's not hard. If they go, my kids' names are Tom and Susan. How hard is that, Tom and Susan? Okay, what would Tom and Susan think? So if something happens to you or when something happens to you, Tom and Susan will be okay. So when you say that, if there was disability and you couldn't pay your bills, how would Tom and Susan pay the bills? Hey, let me ask you something. If I were to talk to Tom and Susan about this, what would they do if they're what? It becomes very personal, but I gain that information. I gain it by asking good questions and shutting my mouth. So one of the biggest reasons that people fail at sales is they're not relatable. Learn to be relatable. You'll be an unbelievable closer, because being a good salesperson, a good entrepreneur, does not require talent. It requires hard work and growth. And it will be painful and it will be uncomfortable. It'll be so freaking worth it when you start closing sale after sale after sale after sale. Then you stay consistent, stay locked in, and then hopefully you reach back out and share it with somebody else. So appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Get this to somebody that needs the help. Get this to a sales trainer, don't know what the hell he or she's doing. Send it to somebody that's getting into sales, somebody that thinks they're really good. Anybody that's out there, man, I know I can help them. So I appreciate your time.